Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ash. In this video, we'll be talking about all things salary, pay package, and negotiation. And it's a Q&A style. So if you're interested in all those things, then make sure to watch all the way to the end so you don't miss out on any of the nuggets that I drop. But if you already know why you're here, then I've got timestamps for you down in the description. Check that out. I've collected the most common questions on salary and negotiation I see on my Instagram account, and I'll be answering them for you right here. So if you like it, then maybe consider liking it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It helps out. Question number one, what do you do if the salary is non-negotiable? Well, theoretically, everything on your offer letter is negotiable. So it's very rare to find that the salary is non-negotiable. But if it feels that way to you, then one of these three things are happening. Either the employer is already at the top of their bracket and they've already offered you the top, or that's how much they think you are worth based on how you've come across in the interview process and all the things that you've put forward so far. Or finally, there's a high demand for this role and they have multiple other candidates lined up, so they know that even if you say no, they're still going to get somebody at that rate. So if you're facing this situation, you have to ask yourself, is the pay package enough for me? You have to also consider not just the base salary, but the overall pay package that you'll get, the total rewards, and ask yourself, is it enough? All of these things, is it enough for my lifestyle, the way I currently live and the way I want to live? Also taking into account the team and the experiences that you'll get from working in this firm. So if you feel like you really like the company and you really want to work for them, then maybe consider negotiating some of the other terms of the contract. But the main thing is don't come across desperate because they can smell it from a mile off. Now, question number two that I see a lot about salary negotiation is, how do I ask for the higher salary? Short answer is with enough conviction. A lot of negotiation comes with the confidence and the conviction that you have in yourself and your own value so that you can really put that across properly. But of course, there are ways to make sure that you are not being unreasonable. So you definitely have to know your value and understand the market and the going rate for the value that you have to bring. And if you ask it in a nice way, you're just saying, hey, based on the skills that I've got, the amount of experience that I've got, and what I can bring to the firm, I don't think the offer that you've given me is right. Instead, I would actually think the X would be right. And once you assess your own value, then you don't have a problem coming across in a confident way because you know that the market values the skills and the achievements that you've got. But ultimately, you still have to be able to say the number without looking down or crossing your arms or making yourself look uncomfortable and insecure. So if you want to be able to confidently speak in any situation, make sure you watch the video right up here. Okay, question number three, how do you negotiate the things other than salary? Again, same as the salary argument, you have to know the value and the demand in the market. And for this one, you also have to assess what other companies are offering around you. But the great thing is, before you've accepted the offer, you're still in negotiation phase. So you can almost ask the things that you want to ask in a polite way, and the worst they can say is no. Out of the total reward package, it's probably easier to negotiate something like a sign-on bonus, phone package, gym subsidy, health insurance, car allowance, that sort of stuff, more so than additional holiday or an additional bonus percentage at the end of the year. And that's usually because most big companies already have a rigid process and other teams handling these things that will just be too bureaucratic for them to actually go and change these things. But hey, I'm not discouraging you from asking. You can always ask, but just do it in a polite way. But there are a few things that people often forget that they can negotiate. You can always negotiate when you're going to get your next pay review or when you're going to get your next promotion review. See, a lot of companies may say they have a rigid cycle, but sometimes they can be fluid. And depending on the experience that you're entering in, you don't have to wait a whole year before you get your review. See, if you feel like you can't negotiate your salary and you're negotiating other terms of the offer, you can always put something like this in the offer where after 3 months or 6 months, your pay and or your promotion is being reviewed. And along the same lines, you can also negotiate the type of responsibility that you get. So if you're stepping into a managerial role, you can always start to negotiate about the type of teams you'll manage, the size of teams you'll manage, the type of projects you'll be working on, and so forth. Ultimately, again, that will help you prepare for the next position that you want to go for. And one other thing that people often forget that they can ask for is equity shares within the company. Nowadays, a lot of companies are popping up where they have the ability for some employees to buy into the company. And it might not be a huge amount, but having that little bit of equity within the company will also make you work a lot harder because you feel like you belong in that company. Not to mention, of course, the bonus is your bonus will look a lot better. But the bottom line is almost everything in the total reward package is negotiable. So just ask. but ask in a nice way. Here's question number 4 of salary negotiations that I see come up all the time. And that is, what is the risk of asking for more money? Am I going to lose the offer? This is a great question, and the real answer is yes and no. Theoretically speaking, or very technically speaking, from a contractual perspective, once you offer a counter, the previous offer that the employer has made you is no longer valid. But it's very rare for employers to actually enforce that because you're usually in conversation. It's usually too much paperwork for them to then go and find somebody else, of course, unless they already have a list of candidates waiting. But if you're a nice person, usually they can just say no, and then you can offer you can accept the previous offer that you had anyway. But usually the way you would do it is just during the negotiation phase. So they've told you, hey, we've got 50K as a budget. Are you okay with that? And you'll say, well, based on the skills that I've got and the achievements, as well as what I can bring to the company and the market conditions around for this role, I think I would be more comfortable with something near 60. Now, one of two things can happen. They can either just say, no, sorry, the 50 is the max we can offer. Then, it's up to you. You can decide whether you want to accept that or you want to reject that because they've kind of given you the final offer. But more often than not, maybe what will happen is they say, well, okay, we can't stretch to 60, but how about 55? And then again, you can accept or decline. The thing to remember is you have to know before going into this situation what your top offer is, what's the expectation, and what's your bottom line. Like, at what point will you just walk away and will you say, no, I'm not going to accept that offer? If you know that difference, then you can play within that game, right? You know exactly how much you need in order to survive. But that's only if you're having a good conversation and you've been a nice person. If you've been an asshole, then that's a totally different ballgame. Now, number 5, can I negotiate after accepting the job offer? The shorter answer is no. You can't do that. Once the pen has hit the paper, or virtually speaking, the offer is settled, right? You have accepted the terms of that contract. So you can no longer negotiate, and it can really, really bring a bad reputation to you. You have to have extenuating circumstances for why you want to now negotiate. It also comes across badly on your end because it means that you didn't do your research beforehand and you're doing your research afterwards. So no matter who you are, once you get an offer letter, just sit on it for a day. Think about it, do your research appropriately, and that way you'll be able to do a better job at negotiating. And if you don't know how to do your research properly, let me know in the comments or in my Instagram, and I'll make another video about that. And hey, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, you should, because this is the type of content that I'll be making. So if you find this useful so far, make sure you subscribe. And look, this video is getting a bit long, so there is going to be a part 2 for this where I have 5 more questions that I need to answer. And those questions are what to actually say in a negotiation situation, how to negotiate on the phone versus on email, how does experience affect how much you can ask for, can new grads and low experienced people still negotiate their salary, and how to get over the fear of negotiating. So if you want answers to those questions, then make sure to subscribe to this channel. And if you have any of your own questions, put it in the comment below or message me on my Instagram because I'll be able to help you out. I'll answer you directly and I might make an in-depth video just like this one. So if you haven't already, make sure to like this video, share it with a friend, and watch these 2 videos next because you'll find those extremely useful. And until next time, see ya.